Then, defense lawyer Andre Thomas countered by asking potential jurors, what if you didn't know about the bank robbery? And concluded his remarks by making sure the jurors would not hold it against Turner for not testifying during his trial. Now, the final jury in 10 of the women, 5 appear to be black and 3 appear to be white. Of the men, 3 appear to be black and 4 appear to be white. This trial comes nearly 12 years after Wright's murder, a case that went unsolved for years until police said they discovered a gun they believed was the murder weapon in a lake in Walnut, Mississippi in November 2017. Authorities said they were led there by Shira's cousin. That's the ex-wife of Lorenzen Wright. His name is Jimmy Martin, a key witness for the prosecution against Turner in this trial. Now, Martin also allegedly told investigators of an earlier failed plot to kill Wright. Now, Billy Ray Turner faces 1 count of first-degree premeditated murder, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, and criminal attempt to commit murder. And Ted, this jury will be sequestered at a hotel with no TVs for the duration of this trial. And get this, their cell phones were taken away. They will be able to call loved ones each night on a phone provided by the sheriff's office. Ted, I'll send it back to you.
All right, our thanks to Chanley Painter. She'll be in the courtroom throughout the day and providing us with analysts with color from the courtroom throughout the day here on Court TV. Let's bring in criminal defense and civil attorney Jessie Lahl. She's in Atlanta, Georgia. Jessie, this case, as Chanley pointed out, went unsolved for many years. It was a huge shock to Memphis. This was someone who was loved. He was a sports hero. Went to the University of Memphis, gave back to the community, and was sort of one of those mainstays. His career was long enough in the NBA where he was a household name. Even non-sports fans knew Lorenzen Wright. And then when he died, it was a shock. How did this individual, who killed him? Why? And then it comes out it was his wife, his ex-wife, Shara, who pled guilty to conspiring and organizing this hit. That was another shock. Now the trigger man on trial. How much of the narrative do you think from the defense is going to be, directing the attention towards the ex-wife and the cousin of the ex-wife, who is also a big part of this case, Jimmy Martin, who basically cracked the case? How much of that should we be listening for in the opening statements when they begin?
That's probably going to be the bulk of the case. Turner is going to say, I didn't know anything about it. It was not me. I didn't conspire to commit this murder. I don't know what murder weapon you're talking about. I don't know where this murder weapon was. Unfortunately, the victim, I think he played a role in helping with the defendant's attorney fees in a prior case. So his whole thing is, this man has helped me in the past. Why would I want to kill him? So Turner's whole platform should be, no, I had nothing to do with it. This is all Jimmy Martin and Cheryl Wright is all them, and they're just looking for someone to blame as the shooter. And I think that's what Turner should do. He should completely stonewall every finger that's pointed at him by Cheryl Wright and by Jimmy Martin.
And it may help him with this time lapse in that the physical evidence, if there was any, may not be a big part of this trial. We'll have to wait and see. We don't know all of the facts. That's the beauty of this. We'll get a real understanding of it when the jury is exposed to the opening statements, the roadmaps by both sides on what we should expect in this case. From our team in the courtroom, they say the jury is rolling in with their backpacks and their roller bags because they have been sequestered and their phones have even been taken away. What are your thoughts on that? What does that do to a juror's mentality, especially the juror that was hoping to watch a little March Madness starting Thursday? Now they can't watch television or watch and see how Memphis does in the tournament.
Can you imagine being without your phone or your iPad for more than 15 minutes? I know my kids will be in therapy and everyone will go ballistic. But it's an exercise of patience and restraint on the part of these jurors. They are going to have to learn to be without their cellular devices, their smart devices, and they're going to have to learn to be in a cocoon for the next few days for this trial. It's really an exercise in endurance.
Yeah, expected to last up to 2 weeks, although they'll be working, one would expect long days because the jury will have nothing else to do and will want this to move through as quickly as possible. But the sequestration is there for a reason, Jesse, and that is this case was and is front page news. How does that affect jurors, a high-profile trial? You know, sometimes some argue that it helps inherently the state looking, you know, we need justice, but not always. Your thoughts?
It's an interesting point where the judge requested the sequestration during the course of the trial instead of at the time when they are deliberating at the close of the evidence. We've had quite a few high-profile media cases in the past couple of years where the juries have not been sequestered until the time of deliberation. So and the only reason I can think of why they're doing this is because it is a beloved son of the city, it's a beloved son of the state. And they want to make sure that there is no outside influence from the hometown where the trial is being held that could possibly impair or jeopardize the sanctity of this trial and possibly cause a mistrial or a hung jury.
Shara Wright, the ex-wife of Lorenzen Wright, admitted she pled guilty to conspiring and basically cooking up this scheme to kill her ex-husband. And she was able, this is what she faced, she pled guilty to: facilitation of first-degree murder and facilitation of criminal attempt to commit first-degree murder, because apparently there were two separate incidents. There was first scheme number one that didn't work out, and then scheme number two, which ended up in the death of Lorenzen Wright. And in the second scenario, that's when Billy Ray Turner apparently was the trigger man. But you have her cousin as well as the whistleblower. You talked about him earlier, Jimmy Martin. For the defendant, there was a lot of talk in jury selection. Will you promise not to hold it against him if he doesn't take the stand? Is that to you a signal that we're not going to see Billy Ray Turner up there on the witness stand?
It's a very strong signal, and it's setting the jury up because the state is only evidence the state has, at least from what I've read so far, is that they have fingers pointing at Billy Ray Turner, the wife, and Jimmy Martin, who found the murder, who led the cops to where the gun was. So, you know, they're preparing this jury to say, look, this is the evidence we have, but if we don't bring all our key witnesses out, don't hold that against us. I want you to promise that you will give as much weight to the people that we will bring forward. And so they are not raising the jurors' expectations, which is a good litigation tip that we train all our attorneys to do, is don't raise the jurors' expectations. And then if you don't present the evidence they're expecting, the jury's going to feel like they're gypped. And so they may rule against you. So I think what the voir dire questions were appropriate. You know, the state can only go with the evidence they have.
Yeah, absolutely. And again,
make it up.
Yep, and we should get a good roadmap from both sides with opening statements expected to begin in just a few minutes. I can see the courtroom just starting to get rumbling. It's day one in any trial. Things are a little slow getting started, especially when you have a sequestered jury still ahead, though. We're going to break in here. Opening statements just moments away. And when we come back, we'll take you in live for those opening statements. We're also going to talk about Lorenzen Wright and talk to people who knew the victim and give us a sense of what Memphis lost when he was murdered back in 2010. That's next.